Hey, it's the Brian and Kindra Show. Welcome. We are going to educate a little, talk a little, give you some valuable tips and practical advice. Practical tips and valuable insights. I like to mess it up just so. See, I even wrote it down right. I just wanted to give it, it gives you guys anxiety.
I thought I'm just going to be really quiet and see how long he can do this wrong.
There it is. Oh, it's so much fun.
It's great. So
Yes.
Here we are with practical tips and valuable insights.
Yes.
For real estate.
Real estate in Northwest Oklahoma, small market.
I love our small market.
I do. I was talking to a guy yesterday about where they were from. I guess it was Sunday, a few days ago. And just how different they are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and just how different life is.
So even just Oklahoma City. Last week our office took a little trip.
Yes.
So by the time this airs, it'll be last month. Our office took a little trip.
Yeah.
And we went to the city.
Yep.
And we had 3 or 4 different drivers.
Yep.
And you're the only one that didn't complain.
I might have complained.
Did you complain? I just didn't hear it because I was all
clear in
the
the
way
front
in the
and you were
back.
driving. Just kidding.
Well, I don't know what your deal was. You got in the back seat, and then
Yes.
Richard was like going to the back seat, and I thought, fine, somebody's got to get us
Drive
there.
this thing. Yes.
Anyway, it'll be slow, but it'll be safe.
Ish.
Anyway, I mean, I drove with one headlight. It was great.
Yes, it's great.
So no complaints about that.
And then
That
Nathan
Nathan
fixed
didn't
the other change
really
lights.
change. We just thought he did.
I thought
It was
man,
magic.
That was magic. It was. I was like, my mind was blown. Like, what? When? How? Sure. Okay.
Okay, but here's
That's
the deal.
different.
So while we're there in Oklahoma City, like I know I live here for a reason. I love it, and I mean, even when we say I don't want to go to Walmart, it's clear across town. We know that we're being ridiculous.
Yes.
Because even when it's not clear across town, it takes forever to do anything with all the stinking traffic in Oklahoma City and other
Yes.
cities and places larger than Woodward. And but I think what really was frustrating was just like I don't drive very much, and then that was a bigger vehicle than I typically drive. I mean, I don't drive in the city because usually I'm with somebody else, and then they drive, and then I just passenger princess
Yes.
the best. And so anyway, all that to say, I just was reminded how very, very much life is just a smoother, sweeter pace for us here, and I love that. Like there have been times in my life I've thought I need to get out of here. I need a bigger city. But I think I'm at a place where I'm like, I need to stay home. Not really. I mean, I need to go places and do things, but this is where I want to live.
It is. And another thing is funny is we had an open house a few weeks ago and Sunday afternoon, and a couple came in and they said, "Yeah, I think we're going to move to town," and they live 4 miles from town.
Oh, how funny.
It's like I don't know what we're going to do with all the extra time, which is hilarious because it's 4 minutes, because you're open highway. So
That's funny.
it is. It was kind of comical. He's like, "Yeah, we make plans. If we go to Walmart, we just stock up for a week so we don't have to make a special trip to get milk." And thinking, when you move to town, you're probably going to do the same thing. Like
Probably.
4 miles won't even make a difference, but
But it's all about that perspective because
Yeah.
you get into your own little routine and you think, oh gosh, that's really going to change things up a bit.
Yeah.
And then you find out it actually takes longer to get from one side of Woodward to the other than it does to get from
all the way out of town to in town.
Right. It's so funny. So anyway, okay, well, we wanted to talk about some fun things today.
Yes.
We've talked before about the costs that we don't anticipate whenever we buy a home, either in the purchase process or once we own the home. We've talked a lot about those kinds of things because there's a lot of expense in homeownership. But we wanted to talk about a little more than just cost. We wanted to add in a few different things. So we're going to talk about big surprises about owning a home. And maybe they're not even...
Surprise.
Surprise. Do it again.
Surprise.
You did that a while ago, and it didn't even occur to me that was about the show. I thought you were just being weird.
Yeah. See, I know movie lines. I have no idea what movie that's on. I don't have
That's Gomer Pyle, isn't it?
Oh, I think it is.
Like Andy
On that
Griffith or something?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not really good at that game either. I bet Nathan thought you were just being weird too. Anyway, now I know it was about the show.
See, I was just, quoting a line.
Look at you segue.
These old line
Who
quoters.
What a cool deal. Okay, so first things first, things to know about buying a house. Just generally,
I mean, it's expensive. You're buying a house.
It is expensive. It's hopefully one of your largest expenses, hopefully your largest expensive. But this is fun. So this is actually kind of like a poll that somebody did on Facebook. I guess not a poll, I don't know, a conversation somebody had on Facebook, asking for unexpected aspects of homeownership. And I think this says it best. Some things you may learn is how amazingly fast grass grows, why it's important to clean your gutters regularly, and how to clear a clogged drain.
Yes. Yes. That's
I'll
great.
be honest, whenever I read that, I thought about my first job as an adult, because it's kind of how it felt, frankly. Oh, it's already time to water the plants again? I should never be the plant waterer for the office.
We don't have plants here.
There's a reason.
Yes.
So anyway, I think that that's a great way to look at this, because things do always change in your home. And so there's a lot of maintenance that's required. But there's a little bit more to it. So
Yeah.
let's start with maintenance, actually, especially when it's a single family house. So this must have been directed more toward a larger city where there's condos and things like that. And we are mostly single family residences.
Yep.
We have a couple of townhouses in Woodward.
Very few, but yes.
And only one area that I can think of that is in a homeowner association where, so they're in a duplex kind of a situation, and then some lawn maintenance might be. I can only think of one area at the end of Brookhaven in that cul-de-sac. Is there any other place that we have
Takes care of lawn maintenance? Nope.
Not really. So really, anything that we're talking about today is probably going to be pretty well generalized to single family homes.
Yep.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. So first things first, we've talked about this a lot, but I think it bears repeating because I know not everybody catches every show.
Yes.
So things are going to break down.
Everything will break down.
Everything will break down. Sometimes it all breaks down at the same time.
Yes, from experience.
I'd been in real estate for a good 10 to 15 years by the time that happened. And even I was surprised.
I was like, you what? What broke?
I think it just...
Two?
I think it kind of hit worse because that was kind of a transitional season of my life. And and I was kind of working out of a rough scenario. And then I found my cute little tiny house. Man, I loved my little house. I love it. Somebody asked me the other day, what'd you do with your little tiny house when you got married? I kept it.
Yes.
I love it so much. We're going to talk about that at the end of the show.
Yeah.
But so here it was. It was early in February of 2019, I think. And my kids had left for the day. Actually, I guess it started the night before. It started on a Friday night. I was at a friend's house and we were playing some games, my little girls group, and my daughter messaged and she said, Mom, the plumbing is acting up like at our last house. I think we have more sewer issues. Can we just get a break?
Yeah.
And I thought, oh no, I don't want her having that stinking thinking. So I messaged back, sister, these things happen and we'll just get right on top of it. Just don't poop at our house. Yeah. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Is it okay? I mean, you know, I'm going to. So
That's going to be a blurb on our deal. Don't poop at your house.
Nathan, can you use that for our special reels? Yes. Don't poop at our house. Yes. Okay. So, anyway, that weekend just progressed. The next morning, the kids left. I said, hey, by the way, since we need to conserve water right now, because we don't really know if everything's going to go all the way out like it's supposed to, while you are in Oklahoma City, please shower at your grandmother's before you come back. I mean, we had all the rules. Like you can potty in the house, but you can't. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So when they got back the next day, I had shown houses all that next morning. I don't know where you were. You must have been out of town.
Napping. Probably.
It was cold. It was so cold. I remember being freezing that whole day. I showed a house out at Creekwood Springs, didn't have the electricity on. The whole day was like that. I got home. My brother had met me at the house to try to help me to see if we could kind of figure out if this was a simple plumbing fix. And I mean, I'd already done things I knew, but I needed somebody to get on the roof. So my precious brother met me at the house. And then we visited in the garage like morons for I don't know how long. I had my beanie on. I had my parka on. Like, it was cold. I came in and I was like, I'm not taking my outside clothes off. I sat down in the chair. And I don't know, about 20 minutes later, I'm like, I am freezing to death. So I got up to check the heater, and it was like 60 degrees in my house or something, 54 degrees. I don't know. It was ridiculous cold. And I realized, oh no, my heater is not running. And so I'm like, well, it's okay. These things can happen. We'll just wear our sweatshirts in the house. We'll wear our beanies. Everything will be fine. So the kids got home and I said, hey, guys, listen, you already know about the plumbing. So all those rules stay the same. Also, the heater is on the fritz. So make sure you wear a sweatshirt, extra blankets. Just wear a beanie. You'll be fine.
You'll be great.
You'll be fine. Everything's fine. This is just a little hiccup. And I could see the look on their face. And then my son was standing by the water heater closet and he goes, Mom, this carpet's wet. And I'm like, what? We didn't even have a pet. So I knew it wasn't Teddy Roosevelt because he wasn't around yet. I said, what? So I go and look, and sure enough, my water heater is also on the fritz. And so I was like, it's okay. This is still, it's just an inconvenience. It'll all be fixed by Wednesday. Everything's going to be fine. I promise. So we went to church the next morning, and then I called you after church, and I said, hey, I'm having some issues at my house. I'm going to try to be on time, but I might be a little late because this is a lot, really. Don't tell my kids, but this is kind of a lot. But everything's going to be fine. And we talked through some things to do for the plumbing. I called the city. They did try to see if they could get it cleaned out between my house and the main. And anyway, all of that said, Monday morning, I called and I said, I'm going to be late. I can't get out of the garage.
The garage door opener broke.
So sometimes things happen. But really and truly, it doesn't usually happen all at the same time.
No, that's super rare.
This house was really well maintained before me, and I kept it maintained while I was living there. Things just happen.
Yep.
Even well-maintained is going to break.
Yep.
Eventually, things just find their life expectancy, just not generally together like that. No. But things happen.
Yep. And that's what I want to say also is use us for your connection.
Please, yes.
If you have a problem, anything like that happens, we have really good connections. We have, there are things that we can do even late at night, early in the morning, we've got connections that make things happen. So we want to be your resource, and we want to make life easier on you. And if we can save you $1, we want to make sure we can do that and make it more, if you have a problem, we want to make it a softer landing.
Yes, I agree 100%. And I mean, you're the best. And I've shared this before. Whenever we competed, and I would message and I'd be like, I need somebody to help me put up a fence. And you would immediately send fence guy or whatever the case was. I mean, between the two of us with all of these almost 40 years of experience or whatever, sometimes we have the same contacts, sometimes we have different contacts, but we definitely almost always know who to call.
Yep.
So give us a shout. We'll help you find who you need. I think another thing that's important to know is that the amount of maintenance required on the home kind of depends on the home.
Right.
So my little tiny house, much as I love it, was not a superiorly built home. And so there were some things that I knew as I progressed with the maintenance I would eventually need to replace differently because it wasn't the greatest quality of workmanship. I think that's important to note. I think it's also important to note that a lot of times, like the really awesome houses with all the charm are going to require a greater level of maintenance than a newer built home.
Yes. Yeah, anything because of the age, it's just age. Everything has a lifespan.
If you're moving into a house that's been vacant for very long, it's probably going to require more maintenance.
Yes. And anytime you move into a house that the sewer line's been empty, not being used for more than 3 or 4 months, you should have it snaked before you move in.
Interesting. Tell us why.
So sewer lines have even PVC is really good because they seal really well. Anything other than PVC will have couplings in it, and fine roots will find their way into the sewer line, and they grow bigger and bigger and bigger. If you have things flowing through your sewer line, it breaks them off before they get big. If you don't have anything flowing through your line, they just get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Gotcha.
And so
that makes all the sense.
So if anything's been vacant a year, which reminds me.
We got a list.
You need to have it snaked immediately.
Right.
Because you will have a problem.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Okay, so let's go on. Added and changing cost of property taxes and homeowner insurance changing costs.
So property tax in Woodward, America if it's your homestead home, it will continue to go up 3% every year is the rate that it is currently on. So if your property tax was $1,000 last year, next year will be $1,030, and then it'll just every year goes up 3%. If it's not your homestead, then it goes up 5%. So commercial properties and rental properties are going up 5% per year.
Okay, so we need to adjust for that. So if you're actually, let's talk about home insurance too.
And then, so I got an email from my insurance that said home insurance went up 29% last year across the board.
See, I need to look at mine, and that
holy cow.
That is, I know that mail is at the house actually with my son. I need to go get it and read it, and we're hearing that a lot. Do not immediately go crucify your homeowner insurance policyholder. Like this is
right.
Because there are so many different things.
Right.
Fires, tornadoes, all the different stuff that happens, earthquakes over there and monsoons over here. And I don't know what I'm saying, but natural disasters. And then we make these policies, or we, what's the word? You file a claim.
Yeah.
And that was a fun game, wasn't it?
So, yes. In insurance, it's a shared risk, basically.
Right.
Everybody's sharing in the risk. So there's been all kinds of fires and tornadoes and all those things, natural disasters that you're saying, we are just all sharing the risk.
Right.
Is what it is. So the more natural disasters there are, the more money we have to spend to cover all of those.
Okay, so here's what we need to do to pay attention to this. So when I go home and I see that my insurance has increased, then I need to immediately send that to my mortgage company. And I need to say, look, this is going to happen, so we need to adjust my escrows now.
Yes.
So that we're ready for it when it comes time to pay it. Because I think the most hardest thing as far as my mortgage payment that happens is whenever I forget to do that. And then next year, they've paid the extra from the prior year, and they're needing to start getting extra for the next year. And that makes a big old huge mess on my mortgage.
Yeah, because that's 30% and 30%. Bam.
Wow. So then my escrows are 60% higher, right?
Basically.
Than what they were. And that feels like a huge hurt in my budget.
Yep.
So if you can let your mortgage company know immediately, this is going to change in my escrows. Can we please adjust this now? Then you can get on top of it and it doesn't hurt so bad. Same with your taxes. We tend to get those. When does the tax bill come out? Comes out in
December 1.
Okay. So when you get that, obviously they're paying it, but you want to just make sure, I think that's just a checks and balance. They get it, they pay it. But you want to make sure that they see this is increased. We want to pay attention to this. Okay, so I think that's just a great little tip that's just helpful so it doesn't hurt so bad. We are hoping to get Kevin Kinsler with State Farm Insurance come on and talk to us about insurance. Maybe he can address that a little bit more. But I forgot to get it scheduled yet, so soon. Yep. Okay, next up, the degree to which you could benefit from tax write-offs. So this is hard for me to speak on because whenever we talk about the accountant or taxes, like my eyes glaze over, and sometimes I cry. So you do it.
So it's really not. I mean, you can write off your mortgage interest on your home off your income. So that's really the benefit of owning a home is that. If you use it as a home office, you can write off a percentage of that. The trick is if you go to sell your home, then you may have to pay taxes on that if you sell your house and make profit.
Interesting.
So get with your accountant and ask some questions there, but there are some perks of owning homes, and if you have a shop and you use it all for business, and there's you can usually write it all off. There's a lot of tax advantages of owning a home versus renting a home. Good luck.
I think that we just reiterate, definitely visit with your accountant because they'll be able to advise you the best way for you because everyone is different and all of us have a different way that we need to file, and if we're this form or that form or whatever, too many forms. Okay, degree to which neighbors can affect the quality of life.
Oh.
So I have a shared driveway.
Yes.
Now, I didn't used to it. Now I have a shared driveway. So we pull into our driveway, and the neighbors on the west pull into theirs. We pull in on the east, and then the driveway extends further to the south. Do I have my directions right? I
Yes.
think I do.
Yep.
Yes. I wasn't real sure how that was going to play out. Like, I mean, in theory, because real estate wise, like, I know this is not a big deal. Everyone has access to their properties. It's shared. Everyone takes care of things. It's not a big deal. Like, I knew that with my real estate brain. But whenever the first time I pulled into the drive and I thought, oh, this could get awkward. It's really not that big of a deal, y'all. It's just really not.
No.
Even for somebody that's like, hurry, get in the garage, get into the house. Don't look at any of the people. Because like when I'm home, I'm home. It's not a big deal. And we have the best neighbors. Like we really do. Like one day, neighbor's mom and dad were there and they had parked a little wonky. Not a big deal. I could still, even in, I think I might have, no, I was on my Jeep. I pulled into Jack's spot instead of mine and it worked just fine. It was not a big deal. And they were so precious and gracious. And I think that surely my reaction probably helps with that. Mm-hmm. Like if I'd have been like, rah, 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 I had to back in all weird. Blah, blah. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like sometimes I think that we create the issue with the neighbors.
Goes back to grace.
That the neighbors aren't really the issue.
Grace and perspective.
For real.
So the neighbors, one of the neighbors' cows gets in my yard like every other day. It's fantastic. I don't have to mow where he's eating.
That's great
She's
perspective.
Eating. Isn't it great? And then my other neighbor, who, because I hate mowing, is offered to swath and bale my yard this year.
Which is fantastic.
Which is great. I don't have to pay nothing. He's going to take care of it. And then he goes, hey, by the way, you got this weird weed patch. I went ahead and sprayed it for you. Great.
That's awesome.
While you're out there, do you want to spray for stickers? If you got the chemical, yes, I do.
How funny.
So yeah, neighbors can and are fantastic.
So when I was growing up, we lived over on the west side of town, and our street led up to a cul-de-sac, and then there was another one that kind of dead-ended that hit the other corner of us. Mm-hmm. And so this guy that was kind of, I guess he was across the street. My brother was trying to remind me about this, and I forgot all about it, and I still haven't put all the pieces together. But we had this cat named Sassy appropriately. Mm. I named her Sasquatch because she had big feet, but it turned into Sassy because she was like a little demon cat. And she would pretend like she was loving until she got her claws in you and you knew she was tricking you, right? Those neighbors loved her. They thought she was so great. They fed her like second dinner, second breakfast.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, she got her seconds over there. When they moved, they asked my dad if they could take Sassy.
That's great.
Like, can you get better neighbors than this?
No kidding.
Okay, but there's also the horror stories.
Man.
So we've got some customers that are frustrated with their neighborhood because some of the neighbors do not have the same pride of ownership that they have. And I've had a neighbor before that had a number of cats. I counted 28 one time. Ooh. And that presents a different problem because then your yard looks a little different and you have to be more careful with what's going on outside. But I think the way that you handle that when you're buying a home, so if this is before you buy your home, the way to handle these things is to drive around. So the last house that my ex-husband and I purchased together, I knew that he was anxious about a couple of things. And I said, one of those being that it was a corner and he was afraid that it was going to have a heck ton of traffic. And so we drove by a whole bunch of times, different times of the day. And it was vacant, so we could park in the driveway and just watch how many cars are there. Can we get stuck? It had a circle drive. Somebody had already thought that through. So I think there's ways that you can kind of gauge what's going to happen in your neighborhood. Yeah, we recommend this. Mm-hmm. We recommend, we don't call it creeping, but creep the hood before you buy. It's okay to drive by. It's okay to drive by at 3 or 4 different times of the day and see what's happening. Go with your windows down so you know if there's a whole lot of noise, if there's a whole bunch of kids, whatever the thing is that you're looking for or hoping to avoid.
Yeah.
Go hang out in the hood.
So like Ashland's house in Wichita, I would be I'm the neighbor that would be like, before I bought the house, I'd go meet everybody and we're having a cookout Friday when I move in and make sure you bring your plate and wait, I'll just bring that too. Like that's, and then my wife's the opposite. She didn't meet any of the neighbors. She'd probably be okay with that too. And so everybody has their own personality. Well, Ashland's house in Wichita, I met the neighbor first day. We close. I back in the trailer, back in the house. He comes over, introduces himself. We talk a little bit. I said, hey, this is my daughter. If you ever have any problems or concerns or questions or see something suspicious, here's my phone number.
Right.
The following weekend, he calls me. I've noticed your garage door is up and there's no car in the driveway.
Oh.
And I was like, weird. So I messaged Ashley and she said, I forgot. I'm already headed back to Woodward. And I was like, oh. So he just went over and shut the door. And so he's messaged me a couple of times about weird things. Hey, your trash can's out in the driveway. I put it up by your garage. And like, dude, great neighbor.
It is. It's great to have those relationships. And sometimes that can be achieved because, sometimes you have to make it happen. You have to achieve that by you going first.
Yes.
But man, sometimes I think neighbors get a bad rap, and I just wanted to note that we've had some of the best.
Yes.
We really have.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, because we don't have a whole lot of time, and I want to hit these fun things.
Okay.
Maintenance is not one and done. You have to keep up on things. You need to get a scheduled maintenance routine, pulling weeds, mowing the lawn, cleaning the gutters, all the things that we do on those spring checklists and on those fall checklists. So I'm not going to, we've already been over those recently, so I'm not going to keep going. I wanted to hit the fun parts though. Here's the part that I think is unexpected. I think it's unexpected how very, very much you appreciate the stability of your own home. So the market's going up, market's going down. You have no intention of moving. You don't really care. Like there's a stability in knowing, man, I hate that the interest rate's so high, but I'm glad I'm already secure and I'm just going to be happy where I'm at. There's a great deal of security, and homeownership is, I think, about that. I think it's about the stability of having your own place, the security of knowing you always have somewhere to go. I think that's part of the biggest blessing of homeownership.
Absolutely.
Okay, there's another thing. There was a fun thing. Where did my number 11 go?
Here, I have two. No, I'm just kidding. I have two number 11s. It says the degree to which you become attached to your home and feel joy in improving it as you enjoy homeownership.
So if that ain't the truth.
No kidding.
And I see that with you more so in your new home than your previous home. And I think you liked your last home fine.
I did. In fact, we had my grandma's 95th birthday party, and we had 33 people in my house or something.
Oh, you hosted.
Yeah. It was
how wonderful.
It was like, it wasn't even crowded.
Right.
And there were conversations going on, and I couldn't hear the other conversation in the other room. So I had to move between conversations. Because in my old house, you could hear all the conversations at the same time.
Yes.
So it was really cool. But back to ownership and the joy of it, I'm still frustrated with yard. I'm still frustrated with a tree's not growing. I'm frustrated I don't have a fence. I'm frustrated that there's just weird little things that aren't a big priority on my list. But again, the joy of it is I know it's mine, and I can live in this mess until I decide to fix it. Or we're getting ready to put sod down. Super excited. I'm going to have some grass this year, maybe.
I think I wanted to hit that because I don't know how many times we've sat down with customers that have lived in their home for 30, 40, 50 years, and there's tears at closing.
Yeah.
And we totally understand that because it does begin to feel like your house is part of your family.
Part of you. It's part of your personality.
And it's really not. Our people are the most important things. But we just want you to know that we feel that same joy in homeownership that you do. And so anyway, that's why we want to be able to be the ones to help you.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. So thanks for living in. Thanks for listening. This is Brian Cook, 580-334-2303.
And I'm Kindra Brown, 580-216-0090.
Thank you.
See you next time.